Hello, everyone. I'm back after just about 2, 3 days. And before I proceed further, let me welcome you to my channel once again. It's always a pleasure to have more subscribers, more people joining my team. And I'm really grateful and thankful to you for trusting me. Okay, so continue to watch these little presentations. I'm sure you're going to enjoy them. Okay, so today I'm going to deal with something again for the first time because last time I had taken up a few quotations, a few lines, famous lines from plays and poems and even novels. So while doing that, somehow I drifted into my childhood and I remembered, when we appeared for general knowledge contests, there used to be one section where we had books and authors, right? So I thought, why not take it up again? And not just that, not just to relive my childhood, but also to reaffirm the belief that books are a child's best friend. Today, our children have drifted away from books. They are more into gadgets. They are more into playing games on their devices. So if we encourage them to read these books, I'm sure it's going to help them a lot, not just with vocabulary, but also in meaningful learning of the language and to write more effectively and more influentially, I should say. I mean, they'll be able to convey their sentiment and their ideas in a better form. So let's start off with the presentation, books and authors. I'll share my screen. Yeah. So welcome to Eloquent English Enterprise. And if you deem it fit, if you feel that this particular presentation was good, it was up to your liking, please do give me your likes. It's always good to be appreciated, right? So here we are. Okay, books and authors. I again will reiterate the fact that books are a child's best friend. So if possible and if convenient, reintroduce our children, our students back to books because it's going to help them a lot. We do not understand, but there are certain blessings in disguise, and books are definitely one of them. So the first book on our list is the Harry Potter series, which we all know. They've been all penned down by J.K. Rowling. It's a fantasy series following the magical adventures of a young boy, Harry Potter. We all know our children have been ardent lovers of this fictitious character. He attends Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry and confronts a man called Lord Voldemort. He's evil. So all his escapades, all his experiences have been very, very effectively and very nicely, very convincingly portrayed by J.K. Rowling. She rose to the heights of a celebrity by just the first of her books. Okay. So next we have Jane Austen. I'm sure all of us who've done literature would know Jane Austen very well. And Pride and Prejudice is definitely her magnum opus. It's a timeless novel of manners and romance, following the story of Elizabeth Bennet. There were 4 sisters, right? And Elizabeth happened to be the second one. So she navigates the complexities of love and society in 19th century England. Things were not as cool as they are today. Even in those days, girls were kept under a lot of vigilance. They were not free to do lots of things. And falling in love was definitely a no-no. So all those things, the kind of society, it has been very effectively brought up by Jane Austen in this particular novel of hers. Next is To Kill a Mockingbird. This novel has been written by Harper Lee, and it's a very powerful exploration of racial injustice in the American South as seen through the innocent eyes of a young girl called Scout Finch. Okay, so to know the details, I'm sure we all will have to go through this novel. Next one is 1984. It's been penned down by George Orwell. He's one of the greatest writers in English language. It's a dystopian novel. It depicts a future world which is ruled by a totalitarian government where individuality and freedom of thought are ruthlessly suppressed. Again, a kind of what should I say, a Hitlerian kind of government where freedom of mind is suppressed. So those kinds of times, even in the 1980s, is something difficult to digest. But then there are some facts which are very, very different from actual, from fantasy. So bare facts have been portrayed by George Orwell in this particular book. So next one is The Great Gatsby. It's been written by F. Scott Fitzgerald. It's a classic tale of an American dream which goes wrong. You know, you plan to do something, but then everything is not in your hands. So the planning goes astray. And this has been set, the story has been set against the backdrop of the roaring 20s on Long Island. Okay, to know the details, go through the book. The next one is a book by J.R.R. Tolkien, right? And this is, you know, it's an epic of high fantasy saga that follows a hobbit named Frodo Baggins, on a quest to destroy the One Ring and defeats the Dark Lord Sauron. Okay, so this is the Lord of the Rings, a very high fantasy saga. It's an epic and something worth reading, I'm sure. We must encourage our students to read such books. Frankenstein, I'm sure you all have heard about it. Mary Shelley needs no introduction. And this is a Gothic novel, Gothic, very old kinds, which it explores the dangers of scientific ambition and the nature of humanity. All right. Some people put it in the category of a horror novel. But as I had said earlier in my previous video, it's not actually a horror novel, okay? It is a Gothic novel. Yeah. So here we come to another novel, which is based on womanhood. Jane Eyre. It's a coming-of-age story about a young woman who overcomes hardship and social constraints to find love and independence. This has been penned down by Charlotte Bronte. She was an American writer in English. And this novel finds its place in the illustrated classics, just like Pride and Prejudice. Okay, The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. I'm sure when we were all students, school-going children, we were very, very fond of these detective stories, which featured the brilliant Sherlock Holmes and his loyal companion who added a little bit of humor, in fact, quite a bit of humor to all the stories, Dr. John Watson. These stories, these very, very intelligent stories have been written by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. Right? The name's hidden. I'll just remove. Okay. Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. Right? The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. Okay. Now we come to The Mayor of Casterbridge. This was written by Thomas Hardy, one of the greatest novelists of all times. And this is a tragedy of the most moving types. Usually he did write tragedies like Tess of the D'Urbervilles, you know. So this one also is a tragedy. It fulfills the Aristotelian requirement of depiction of the downfall and death of the hero because of some tragic flaw in his character. I mean, the downfall of the main character is brought about by by one flaw in his character. And it also conforms the pattern of the Greek classical tragedy in the cruel workings of fate. Those of us who have studied Thomas Hardy would agree that in his novels, in most of his stories, chance plays a very, very big role. I mean, one character in all his novels is chance. So, unfortunately, even over here, fate or chance play a major role. And this is a very moving story. It's a pathetic story. And as the drama unfolds, you get to know what is happening. Okay. So here's the next one. Henry Fielding is supposed to be one of the forefathers of the English novel or fiction. And this particular book, Tom Jones, is a beautiful book. It is a sprawling picaresque novel. Now, picaresque here means, or it actually means a character who has a flaw, who is not, all good kinds, but still, in spite of his flaws, he becomes dear to the people. I mean, around him and also the reader. So this novel follows the misadventures of Tom Jones. He is a charming but impulsive young man. This is his journey through love, class, and self-discovery in 18th century England. It's based on about 300 or 400 years ago, the kind of social scenario. So this is a very nice book by Henry Fielding. Roald Dahl is one of the contemporary writers. He writes lovely books for children. So this one, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, is one of the most liked and very favorite, big favorite of today's school children. So if you read this, you will have to buckle up for a fantastical adventure with Charlie Bucket. Charlie is a poor boy who wins a gold ticket to tour the mysterious and magical chocolate factory of the eccentric Willy Wonka. Okay, Roald Dahl, remember, it's a series of books. He's written marvelous books for children. And I'm sure today's students would love to read most of his stories. Mark Twain. I couldn't have completed the list without mentioning Mark Twain. He again is one of the most celebrated American writers in the English language. And this book, The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, it was a part of my post-graduation syllabus. So here it's Huckleberry Finn. He's a mischievous young runaway and he journeys down the Mississippi River on a raft with an escaped slave called Jim. And then you'll see all his adventures, the kind of prejudice he has to face, and all the complexities of friendship as they all row down this river. So it makes very interesting reading. If you are interested, if you have the time, do go through this. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. Great Expectations, Charles Dickens. How could we ever think of English novel without the mention of Charles Dickens, right? This is the best of books that were ever written by Charles Dickens. Here we have Pip, who's an orphaned boy. He lives with his sister and brother-in-law who are very, very rude. They do not treat him nice. And he finds his life, going through a series of eccentric encounters and sudden wealth. And as he grapples with love, social class, and the true meaning of happiness in Dickensian England. And quite surprisingly, here he is helped by a convict called Magwitch. Now, this convict develops a kind of love for this young, helpless boy, and he helps him a lot. Right. This one is a personal favorite, Jungle Picture by Nora Burke. Now, this is not a singular, it's not a single story. It's a series of stories by Nora Burke, and the setting is that of forests and hills. It's a fantastic piece of literature, and I think it's my belief that every student who's into like classes 9 to 12 must read it because they're beautiful stories over here. The language, the expression, everything is unforgettable. Yes, and I'll not forget to mention, it was a part of my 10th class syllabus in the ICSE exam. And here we'll definitely learn to admire English language, the way Nora Burke has gone about all these stories. I'll mention one of them. The very first story in this book is The Blue Bead. It's about a jungle girl called Sibia. And one day she finds something sparkling in the rivulet where she stays. So she gathers courage and she goes there, she picks it up, and it's a blue glass kind of a thing. She loves it because it's circular and it has a hole in it. So she thinks it's a very, very precious bead. She puts it in a string and wears it around her neck. And what exactly was it? You'll be surprised. It was the broken neck of a bottle which was made of blue glass. It must have flown in from somewhere. We all know rivers bring a lot of garbage. And this girl, for her, it becomes a part of her jewelry. So life is simple. We make it complex and complicated. So, and to end my presentation on a hilarious note, I couldn't help adding this one, Three Men in a Boat. It's a wonderful, hilarious story of three friends. And Jerome has really, really made it so amazingly comical that, you just laugh through the entire story. Okay, so we have George and I'm forgetting the names of the others, and they go down boating on a trip along the river Thames. So I remember two of its subparts. Uncle Podger hangs a picture, and there's some story regarding butter. Butter disappears, it gets stuck to one of their backsides, and they keep hunting for it. And I mean, then they have a dog also. So it's a wonderful, it's a hilarious story. If you get to read it, do go ahead, don't miss it. Okay. So thank you, viewers, for watching this one. I hope I have given you enough material for today to, put your reading caps on and go ahead with all these stories. And I may give a few more suggestions in the times to come. But for now, these are few of the most wonderful books that one could ever read in their lifetime. So please go ahead and read them, especially the last two, three, which I mentioned, penned by Roald Dahl, by Jerome K. Jerome, and Nora Burke. So I'm sure it's going to make very interesting reading. So signing off for now. See you all very soon. And thank you so much for watching. God bless you all. Have a wonderful day ahead.